Oh, I'm back again. Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stee-full, and here on the podcast, I get to sit down with guests from all across music and performing arts, and we talk about the ups and the downs of this crazy life and the path of trying to turn your passion, whatever that may be, into a career and somehow figure out how to sustain yourself by those means, and all the delightful and sometimes horrific things that happen along the way. Now, before we get into it, I do want to mention a few things. First off, I'm a singer and songwriter myself, so if you'd like to check my music out, I've got a few CDs and some stuff out there on iTunes and Spotify and YouTube and all the things. And you can find that under Jacob Stiefel, Stiefel. Secondly, if or when you plan on buying something from Amazon.com, you'd be helping the podcast out a ton if you'd first, before you go to Amazon, go over to don'tstifleme.com and click the Amazon banner there on the homepage. I think it says like shop, connect, enjoy or something like that. But you'll pay this. It'll then send you to Amazon. You'll pay the same price you would have anyway, but it'll send me a small commission for sending you there. So it helps the podcast out. You get what you got at the same price, and it's a win-win. So if you would like to do that, once again, that's over at don'tstifleme.com there on the homepage. Lastly, if you want some behind the scenes pictures and video and access to some MP3 downloads and whatnot, you can go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. Over there, you can pledge a small amount of money, a couple bucks, $3, $4, $5, whatever you'd like. You could do $100 a month if you want. I won't stop you. But you get to help the podcast out, but you also get access to an exclusive feed of videos and pictures and things that I'll post up there from time to time. So if you want to check that out, once again, it's patreon.com/DSM podcast. All right. To the meat portion of the podcast today. On this episode is yet another one of my favorite people that I've met in this musical world. Nebraska's own Evan Bartels came by the studio and chatted with me. Evan, I think we met through his brother Logan, but he is they're both fans of the podcast here. Thank you for listening, guys. But Evan is a phenomenal singer and songwriter and artist in the, I suppose you would call it the Americana genre. Whatever kind of, you should listen to it and decide for yourself. Whatever kind of music you want to call it, it's really good shit. I enjoy it. And the kind man even brought me some merchandise and a bag of delicious coffee. And on top of all that, I just like hanging out with the dude. And I'm glad I got to do that. And I'm glad you're here to listen to it. And I hope you enjoy it. So without any further ado, here I am talking with Evan Bartels. Well, we're going to be talking after the music that starts right now.
Pick it up from piano.
It ain't dying I'm talking about, it's living.
All right, phone's on vibrate. Computer's muted. TV's muted.
My phone is actually always on silent because nothing terrifies me more than talking on the phone. Like every time I get a phone call, maybe it's because I'm self-employed, but every time I get a phone call, I imagine it's the IRS and they're like, you're going to prison and you owe us $20,000.
No, I totally get that. Every time, unless it's like my mom, dad, or sister, pretty much anybody else, if they're calling me, I'm like, oh God, what do they need from me?
Well,
what are they going to ask me to do?
What you just said right there, what do they need from me? It's like nobody's ever just, in my experience, nobody ever just, very rarely do they just call you, what's up, man?
That used to happen.
How you doing?
I remember doing that. I had my best friend from school.
I
for a
still try to
while
do it.
after school, we would call each other regularly and be like, what's going on? What's up? But like, I guess as time's gone on, that doesn't happen anymore. And
No.
I still think about doing that sometimes. I think
now somebody calls you and they just like, they want something from you.
Yeah.
And also they want it right now.
Yeah. Hey, I'm moving tomorrow. Can you come help? Nope.
It's the worst question. It's the worst question. You know, I try not to, I hate being, a burden on people. So like my wife and I just moved.
Yeah.
We live in Omaha right now, and we just moved from an apartment like downtown to out in West Omaha, and it's like moving from East Nashville to Franklin, kind of.
Yeah.
And so we, I didn't want to ask anybody like, hey, can you take off work? Can you drive an hour to come help us move? I was just really stubborn with it. So I moved our entire apartment besides couches.
Yeah.
Like I got the couches out to a trailer by myself, but Logan had to help me take him up the stairs. And that was the worst mistake of my life. I'm never doing it again. I'm going to bite the bullet and ask people to help me.
One of the main reasons that I want to make a significant amount of money is so that, along with other things, I can just pay people to move my shit.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody else, like I got a buddy that makes pretty good money, and he was dating a girl one time, and she was going to move, and she asked him to come help her move. And he said she couldn't afford to pay a moving company. He said, how much is a moving company? She said, like $400. He said, I'll send you a check, or I'll write you a check right now.
Yeah, dude.
Like I want to be able to do that. Like, oh, you need help moving things? How about I just give you $500 and you pay the moving company to come move your stuff?
And then if something gets broke, you know, you didn't even break it. Like, how bad would that be if somebody's like, hey, you want to come help me move? And you're like, yeah, and you're carrying their 50-inch flat screen or whatever fancy-ass TV, and you drop it and it breaks, and it's like, well,
sorry.
That's my bad,
Yeah.
you know?
I went to help a buddy move one time, and he said, yeah, we're just moving into this apartment. We don't have that much stuff, just like less than a truck full of, whatever things. And I got there and started moving in boxes like, oh, this isn't that bad. A little desk, chair, whatever, blah, 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 couch. And then the more we got to the back, I saw something in the front of the truck that had been covered up, and it was a piano.
Oh, no.
And I was like, Matt, you motherfucker. Like, you tricked me.
Dude, you know how many people on
That was
Craigslist get rid of those old free pianos?
Oh, yeah. Free piano, just come get the thing out of my house.
Yeah, I have 4 of them. I have my wife's grandmother's old...
You have 4 pianos?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why.
Ooh.
You want to know why? So one of them was my mom's, and it's out of my dad's farm now.
Yeah.
And it's been in our family for like 100 years. And then we got 2 other ones, one from an old school, one from an old church, and then I got my wife's grandma's. Now, my wife's grandma's piano that we have, that's just kind of I didn't want it to just go out of the family. And it's also one of those smaller stand-up pianos. And so it's like, someday I'll put that in our house. But the other 3... they're so old that the keys are actually ivory. And so we had the one that needed some ivory replaced, and then we got the other 2, one of them for like free and one of them for like really cheap, just because they had ivory too, and you can't get ivory to fix piano keys.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just buy it off eBay, you know what I mean? So the only way to get it is by buying old pianos.
An old piano.
So
and
that's the thing,
yeah.
is if you're really scrappy and you're not afraid to work, you go look on Craigslist and you find them old pianos. Some of them got real ivory on them, and you can only scrap that big brass soundboard in there. Get some money from that.
It's too much work.
It's too much work. It's too much work unless you really need some ivory.
So is it, we just jumped right in. Is it Bartels? Is that am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I don't
Sure
know,
is.
Bartels, Bartels.
I know. I feel like
You never know. People have weird pronunciations.
as a musician or like a little league baseball player, your last name it's getting butchered. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter unless it's like Smith or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm so jealous of guys with easy last names.
Yeah, I still kind of feel that way. But somewhere once upon a time, I was talking to somebody in this twisted ass business that we're in, and they said it's almost better to have a unique, confusing name because that's a constant talking point that you can have with people.
So you have that. I don't even have that. I'm a gray area name. But like yours, that's interesting enough, especially with the podcast being.
Yeah, I just confuse them even more. Don't
Exactly.
stifle me with Jacob Stifle. No, it's Stiefel. Don't stifle me. No, it's don't stifle me. But yeah, it's confusing.
Exactly. You're the talk of the town with a name like that.
Something. I don't know. The Nebraska's own So are you from Omaha originally?
No, not
Where are you
originally.
from?
I'm originally from a town called Tobias.
Tobias.
Yeah, small ass town, man. It's just on the sign now. It says 106 people.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is
it's
small indeed.
It's one of those old farm towns that,
Yeah.
like down in where I come from in the country, there's these small towns about every 8 miles, and they were just built on the trains. Wherever there was a little train co-op on the line,
Yeah.
that's where the town was. And then eventually the train lines got rerouted, and so the town's really shrunk down a lot.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's like the high school I went to, there's like 10 small towns all around where all the kids went to that high school. And there's still only 20 kids in my graduating class. It's small, man.
Yeah.
It's rural.
I've been through, I don't think I've been through Nebraska, maybe once. Anyway, I think I have once, but we didn't do anything there. Well, I know I've played a couple shows in like Iowa, and I've been through Kansas a few times. And I guess it's kind of similar to that in that you'll just drive, and then you'll go through this little blip of something, and then it'll be farmland, and then blip.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
I played a bar in Havelock, Iowa, and it was one of those. It was a little podunk, little crossroads town. They had like a rundown library and a rundown post office, and then a couple of shops and a garage, and then that was pretty much it. But there was a restaurant there, and it was one of those areas to where when something happened, this band came in from Nashville, everybody from like within 100 miles came to this place and just packed this little bar out. So it was, over 100 people, which was a lot in this little town.
I wish that happened to me, man.
I haven't been back, so I'm not trying to brag or anything. That was a couple of years ago. So, and I got shocked. And it was also one of those great gigs where when you touch the microphone, it zaps you every time.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
I played so many small towns, and one thing that like, there's about 2 outcomes that you can get. You can get that outcome where everybody's super pumped and they're all really excited, or you can get the outcome where nobody's seen live music before, and so they all just like sit at the tables and they watch a ball game on the TV behind the bar, and nobody claps, and
they think you're just supposed to be over there doing something.
Yeah, and you're just playing, and nobody wants to look you in the eye, and you're up there thinking, you're like, oh my God, everybody hates this. Nobody likes anything. And then you get scared to sing your own songs, and you're like, well, damn it, I'll just sing Tom Petty all night, and hopefully they'll like that. And then at the end of the night, some guy comes up and he goes, man, I loved your stuff. It was great. And it was like, why didn't you let me know? This was the worst
exactly
3 hours
about.
of my life. You got to be a participant in this, man.
Yeah, and then I've played more shows like that than I care to admit to. But there's usually a handful of people in there that are really enjoying it. Yeah. But whenever nobody's clapping, nobody's going to clap, because unless there's
nobody
like
wants
that
to be
one
the first
brave
one.
person. Yeah. But you'll have a few people that are like looking around like, we're not supposed to clap in here or what,
I know.
It's like, no, it's okay to make noise.
You always try to come up with those lines that they just work every time, and so it's always something to come up with, getting people to clap or feel like they appreciate you. But it's a double-edged sword, because, if you don't let them know it's okay to have a good time, they won't let you know they're having a good time, and then you'll be even more afraid to say something later. So it's like, I almost got to give myself pep talks before I go up on stage, because otherwise my gut reaction is just like, don't look at anybody play your songs. They're all going to hate you. And it's just like, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
If you go out there and you just say, we're all in this together. Let's work. I think we'll have a good night if we work on it together.
I had one of my favorite college professors used to always say, he'd make some stupid ass joke in a lecture, and he'd say, I'm going to have a good time in here, boys and girls. You're welcome to join me if you'd like. So I always try to like throw that out there from time to time.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I might start using that one.
Take it. I bequeath it upon.
Yeah, I've always said, like, if I play a song and I'll get like 1 or 2 claps, even if 1 or 2, or if I get more, that's great, obviously. And also I should say that this is like we need to clarify the situation here. Is that like those small roadside bars where nobody knows who you are, nobody's ever heard of you, and they just come in to eat dinner and they're like, oh Jesus, there's a guy with a guitar here. That's the setting for this.
Right,
it's
that's
not
what we're
like
talking about,
it's not like a listening room, or it's not a good show where everybody's there for music. It's like where you got to win everybody over. They're there for chicken wings.
It's
and
like
beer.
any venue that is something's bar and grill.
Yes. Yeah. And they can be some of the best places to play, but you got to win these people over.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll play and like you only get one clap after your first song. And that's when I'll be like, man, we got one clap out of the first song. We can build off of that.
Yeah.
We can get two. And last night I had a great line. I was, we always have on the merch table, we have like a gas jar, tip jar, whatever people want to do. And I don't think maybe two people would put gas money in there. And so I said, if y'all only going to put money in our tip jar, then the rule is you got to tip the waitresses double. And
I like that one.
Yeah. And you want to know something? It worked too. We got a bunch of tips and the waitresses both got a bunch of tips.
I may steal that one from you.
Do it. Do it.
We're just trading lines here.
That's all anybody ever does, really.
That's right. Nobody comes up with anything. We all just kind of borrow it from somebody else.
Even in songwriting, even in stage performance, we're all just reworking. It's like, and that's so true. You hear some guy do something, and you're like, man, that was so cool. What can I do that's that cool? You know what I mean?
One of my favorite lines that I use all the time was old Hank Williams line. He said to a crowd one time, he's talking about his new album out or something, a new single or something. And he said, I don't need your money, folks, but the people I owe money, they need it really bad. I use that all the time because it's the truth.
That's really good. Yeah. That's like, I'm going to write that down. Before I leave, write that down. I'm going to use that, man.
There's your post-it little notepad there.
What was that line?
I don't need your money, but the people I owe, they need it really bad.
Oh, my God.
And I usually embellish and say they keep calling and emailing me, telling me about it or something.
I was making note. Yeah. I'm keeping that one in my pocket, man.
So you were at a Blue Canoe last night? Was that right?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Man, it was great.
Yeah?
It was, okay, so let me set the scene for you. We were playing in LeClaire, Iowa the night before.
The acoustic? Right?
Yeah, this is acoustic run. It's me and my buddy Boneheart Flanagan.
Okay.
And
that's a badass name.
Yeah,
that is like the coolest name of all time.
Speaking of names, you know what his real name is? John Dell.
And he went with Boneheart Flanagan?
Yeah, I'm like, you got two of the best musician names that I've ever heard. Can
I use your regular name?
I know, but anyway, so we're doing this acoustic run like a week together, and we were in LeClaire, Iowa on Sunday, which, fun fact, is where American Pickers, the TV show, is based out of.
Oh,
I didn't know that, but somebody told me.
They have a shop here, I think, in Nashville.
Yeah, they do. Anyways, so we thought when we were doing all the routing for this, for some reason, we thought that Tupelo was like 6.5, 7 hour drive, which is long, and we were wrong. It was like an 11-hour drive.
Oh no!
Yeah, we left at 7 a.m. after LeClaire. We left at 7 a.m. and we got to Tupelo at 6 p.m. and then the show started at 7:30. So we made it just in time to set up and sound check and all that stuff. And then the show got over a little after 9, and then we drove here to Nashville, which is 3.5 hours. Yeah,
I made that drive.
Night.
Yeah.
And so, how many? That's like 14, 15
Did you
hours.
get any sleep?
Yeah, man. I went to sleep at 3, and I woke up at 9 because I was going to go for a run. And then I was like, I'm not going to go for a run right now. I'm going to sleep till 11. And I slept till 11.
Nice.
Woke up, and I had this wonderful cup of Nestle brand Nespresso.
There you go.
And
we did find that out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be on there. I forgot where we started talking or not. We were talking earlier about an espresso machine that I have, and Evan guessed that he said, "Is it a Nestle espresso machine?" And my dumb ass, I've had this thing for like 2 or 3 years. Never thought once about that. And so I Googled it, and it is. Nestle's espresso machine is the Nespresso.
It's pretty good stuff too, man. You know,
they can send me money anytime they'd like, or coffee pots.
They should too, because one thing that I found out recently is that like podcast advertising and like product placement, that stuff really works because I listen to podcasts religiously, as I feel like a lot of people who travel a lot do. And you hear all the same advertisements and stuff. And for a long time, I would think, who actually like hears on a podcast and then goes, I'm going to buy that. And the next thing you know, I'm looking up Me Undies to see if I can get matching pairs for me and my wife. And then like here's how deep this goes.
I need a new mattress. I've heard of 6 different mattress companies.
Yeah, and that's like advertising. That's not even just a product placement like in a video. Like, do you ever watch comedians in cars getting coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.
And they do some of that. I didn't even realize it until it's too late. Like, I wear Mitchum deodorant now because of comedians in cars getting coffee.
Really?
Yeah, and I also bought a bag.
Where does it show Mitchum deodorant?
Oh my God, dude! It's an episode there in New York. They call it
I used
the
to wear that
Wasp.
when I was a kid.
They call it the Wasp episode, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant stuff. And they're going through. He's going with this gal. I can't remember her name. And they're just running errands or something.
Yeah.
And she picks up this deodorant, and he goes like, "You get Mitchum?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's the best." And so like
How
2
much
days.
did they pay for that?
I have no idea. And then 2 days later, though, I'm in Target. And I was just walking through the aisles, and I see this little green tube that says Mitchum. And I thought, where have I heard of Mitchum? I'm going to buy that. I'm going to try that out. And I've been wearing it for like 8 months now. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, and they got me with that Lavaz coffee, too. You ever tried that stuff? Yeah, they was showing that on What's-His-Face, Jerry's show. I bought a bag of that, too, man.
Yeah, that's a great show.
I didn't like it as much as I like the Starbucks roasts I buy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people talk crap on Starbucks, man, but
Man, I'm going to tell you this.
it's good.
It's good, and it's consistent. Everywhere you go. If you want consistent, you know what that cup of coffee is going to taste like. If you're in middle of nowhere, Arkansas or Georgia or wherever, for a traveling person, that's important.
Yeah.
You know? Like, sure, if I'm here in Nashville, there's 19 different coffee shops, local places that I can go to. But yeah, if you're traveling across the country, you got to find somewhere you know it's going to be. Speaking of coffee, hold on.
Oh, boy.
Check this shit out. Evan brought me a present. He brought me some coffee here. I'm gonna give a little plug to Logan. It's Logan's idea, right?
Yeah.
Evan's brother Logan, who plays bass for you, right?
He plays bass. He does all our design. He co-manages like the business aspect of everything. He's my 50-50 right-hand man.
He's the man.
Yeah, and he's a big fan of this podcast. He's actually the guy who turned me onto your podcast over a year ago.
Yeah, he sent me like a message last year sometime.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm sending him this bag of coffee.
That's awesome. It is The Mill. I guess that's the brand.
Yeah.
And this is the Good Life blend. Because life is good. Damn it.
Yeah, and he even...
And some other stuff. He got me sent me some... Is this matches?
Yeah.
That is badass. That's a good merch item right there. I don't know if people use matches anymore or not, but it's a good one to have.
We give them out for free on the merch table, and I always tell people it's for...
You never know.
Well, it's for smokers or take them for scented candles. And that started out as a joke, but my wife and I, we use those. We got like 4 of our matchbooks at home, and we use them for candles all the time.
Or when you take a big shit in the bathroom and you don't have any air freshener or anything, just light a match.
Let me ask you this. How often do you shit in public, though?
In public or in public bathrooms?
That's a very important distinction. In public bathrooms. In public venue bathrooms.
Oh, yeah, no. Not, I mean, unless I'm playing there and I have no choice. But yeah, not very often. These are
very often.
Got some coasters here. These are going to go on the podcast table. Here we go. Boom, boom. No, and if I'm traveling, you know, you have your preferred truck stops that you know are probably
100%.
have a good. Buc-ee's in Texas, I think, are like the best truck stops.
They're not bad. They're probably...
As far as cleanliness, and their bathrooms are always in good shape.
One of the downsides is, though, is they're always so busy.
That's true.
You know who
Constant in and
talk
out.
about consistency across the country? I love a good Love's,
Yeah,
and I love a good Flying J.
absolutely.
Flying J has some great pizza, and they got pretty decent coffee.
Now, I don't know if great is the right word there.
At 3 a.m.
At
That's
3
about the
a.m.,
best
okay.
damn slice of pizza you can get, man.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got a CD. What is this?
I don't remember what that is.
Is this panties? No.
It could be. Yeah.
I'm just unwrapping it right here while we're talking.
Oh, there's a guitar pick on there.
Oh, where?
Right there.
Oh, look at that. Man, you got all the shit.
Yeah, one of the things I love
look
about
bad over
Logan
here.
is his attention to detail. Oh yeah, it's a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, my man.
No, he
yeah.
so like when people order something off our website,
Yeah.
we run everything in-house, all of our shipping
there's
and warehouse
twine
management.
wrapped around everything,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's, it comes wrapped in, in a nice paper, wrapped with twine, and
What's the website they could go to order some of this stuff they're talking about?
evanbartels.com.
There you
That's
go.
EVANBARTELS.com.
Man, you should be on the radio. Like you should have a radio show or something. You got a voice. You got a great face for radio too.
I do, but you want to know something? I hate my voice. Like I hate
Everybody
my
hates
talking
their voice.
But I know why I hate it is because I'm just gonna get right up on here and let you hear this. You hear that? You hear that stuffiness in my
Sounds
nose?
like you're breathing.
Barely. I can barely breathe through my nose. I've had my nose broken 4 times since I was a kid to
Jesus.
an adult, and I can't
Getting a lot of
breathe good
fights?
through it. So, well, it was a combination of, I think it was one fight. One time, a buddy accidentally stepped on my face, and then 2
That
baseballs.
sounds like a story. Maybe we should dig into that. How does somebody accidentally step on your face?
You want to know? I
Sure.
was laying in the driveway, which probably sounds weird, but I was just hanging out and laying down in the driveway, and he comes over and kind of how I wish that people could see me, but where you would imagine this, somebody laying in a driveway and then somebody coming up and standing over you and
Acting like
they're
yeah.
going to stomp your face,
Yeah.
but then they're a fat 12-year-old and they lose their balance and they stomp your face.
Oh no,
So that's how that happened.
man! I can't imagine the shock. Be like, just what the hell?
Yeah, but yeah, so every time, I know if I go back and I listen to this podcast, I'm going to be like, you nasally voice, I don't know why it is.
It's weird. Well, everybody, when you hear that yourself, your vocals being recorded, whether it's on video or audio,
Yeah.
it sounds so different because what you hear in your head
It has
is
the
really,
reverberations
yeah, and it's
of
really
being in
only
your head.
part of what you're hearing and a lot of what you're feeling. You're feeling the vibration of your vocal cords and it's in your head and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So inevitably it's going to be a little bit higher pitched than what you think. I feel like I have a very low voice, but then when
You
hear
do
it, it's
have a low
eh.
voice. I love listening to your podcast, man.
Aw.
I'm like, God, I listen to you read the phone book.
Oh, sweet man. Hey, hold that mug there where I can see there you go.
Like this?
There you go. Yeah. I'll take a picture. There we go. I got to remember to take pictures and video and stuff. I always get in here, I get to talking and I get to excited about the conversation and then people leave and I get the one picture of me and them, but then I forget about the behind the scenes pictures and stuff that I put on patreon.com/DSM podcast, ladies and gentlemen. But I have to remember to do the behind the scenes stuff and put it up there.
How do you like using Patreon?
It's all right. I mean, that's the only way I'm making money on it right now. I've got the Amazon affiliate link on the website and the Patreon thing. But, I mean, it's cool.
You know one thing?
Basically, the people that go and take the time to go do that, they'd get some behind the scenes stuff, and I do some MP3 downloads and everything. But the biggest thing is they enjoy it enough to support and give $5 a month or $3 a month or whatever. And then
Yeah.
that money goes to hosting fees and when I
And you
need
know
a
what a
new
big thing
microphone.
is I know a couple guys who do that Patreon thing, and I always thought, and I feel like a lot of people think, well, if I'm only signing up for $1 or $3 a month,
Yeah.
what good's that going to do? It does a lot.
Oh,
of
yeah,
good.
for sure.
Because you think about it, it's you get 100 people to sign up for $5 a month.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you do it, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
So if you're listening to this, you better get on Patreon
Yeah.
and sign up here, because I'll tell you what, that's the only way this stuff happens, man. Everybody takes for granted these podcasts.
Yeah.
Not everybody has Joe Rogan's budget, man.
Right.
You
Yeah.
gotta get out and help your people do stuff that you like to listen to.
Yeah, and you just got to keep keep doing it and keep doing it. And the only way that you can keep doing it is with the help of other people.
Yeah.
People helping
worth it,
people.
man. This is a sick spot to do.
Isn't
I've done
this
a
cool?
couple podcasts, and this is probably the coolest place. I mean, you even got a scented candle burning.
Yeah, man. I like to do.
Looks like you
Dad
got
always told me if you're going to do it, you do it right.
Looks like you got a Ruger 1022 leaning up in
It
the
is a
corner.
1022.
Yeah, I got one of those, man.
I love that. For some reason, I decided to put camouflage tape on it, but
I have
it still works fine.
I have it's kind of the digital camo stock my dad bought.
Yeah.
It's got the pistol grip and retractable.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just lost so many listeners. They're like, he shoots guns? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Now, we're in the South. Everybody's cool with that. But no, man, I love those things. I go plinking. I can take out a cottontail at 100 yards with that sucker.
Yeah, man. Those are like the most customizable rifles, the Ruger
they're
1022.
so fun,
Because you
dude.
can buy all different kinds of packages and
You can buy
add-ons
those.
and things. And
If you ever hear that cheaperanddirt.com,
oh yeah,
they send me
Absolutely.
emails all the time, and they're like, are you interested in this 150 round drum magazine for a Ruger 1022 for only $39.99? I'm like, I'll take 10. Let me get that.
am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a cool spot, man. You got a lot of good guitars.
This is
hanging
my
up on
favorite
the wall.
spot I've been in, living wise, but also especially doing the podcast. The last place I had was probably about half the size of this room.
Yeah.
So it was all of this stuff just in a room half the size. So it was much, much tighter. But I still got some, like this is a temporary table and this is temporary. I'm going to build a couple of tables to sit right here and then put bookshelves up. And, it's a work in progress. We're all a work in progress.
How long you been in this space?
Like 3 months.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
it? Dang.
Yeah, I got to put up curtains.
I gotta say,
kinds of
I'm
stuff,
really
but-
impressed because I've moved into houses, and a year later, I
Still
still
looks
got clothes in the totes in the closet,
Yeah.
man. So yeah, this is cool, man. This is really cool.
I appreciate it. Oh, let's see what else. Oh, I was going to tell you my blue canoe story in
Yeah,
Tupelo where
let's
you
hear
played
it.
last night. I played there, did a band show there, and I think it was on Friday or Saturday night, and we played and had like a decent crowd of people in there. We played. It was just us, so we played from like I don't know, 8 to 11, something like that. So we did 2 sets. It was about half and half originals and covers. Because I'm not going to play 3 hours. First off, I don't have 3 hours of originals.
Yeah,
Secondly, nobody wants to hear. That's
you gotta
never
throw
heard me
in
before.
stuff that people won't
yeah.
know.
So we were playing, and people were digging it. We played, 2 or 3 originals, 1 or 2 covers, 2 or 3, whatever. Just kind of reading the crowd what they like. We had people dancing and all this stuff. Come to find out, when we took a break in the middle, I was talking with people at the merch table and whatever. The owner, the guy that booked us, walked out and was talking to the bass player and the drummer and said something along the lines of, or said something about us playing too many covers or playing all covers and that we weren't like he didn't want just a regular bar band or something along that lines. And I guess, I don't know if he didn't realize that over half the songs were my songs or if he didn't want us playing
That's how
any
you know
covers
you're a
whatsoever.
good songwriter. Is
I don't
when
know.
everybody I played a show one time, and I played all originals.
Yeah.
And some guy came up afterwards. He goes, "Man, I love those Jackson Brown covers you did." He was like, "How many did you play? Like 4 or 5?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad you dug them, man." I didn't play one Jackson Brown song, but I was like,
Wow.
"I'll take it."
Yeah.
Man, you want to know?
So nothing against the Blue Canoe or anything. I
love that.
enjoyed
That
playing
place-
there. It was an awesome bar.
That place
I wanted to play there
has
again.
such a special place in my heart because last night was the second time I played there.
Yeah.
Played there last season too. And oh man, let me tell you this story. This is one of the best. I played Blue Canoe, and the next night I was playing in Memphis. And a buddy of mine that I was going to stay with him and his wife in Memphis, which is like, I think 99 miles north of Tupelo.
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Hey, after your show, why don't you just come up to Memphis and we'll go check out this bar you're going to play at the next night." And he goes, "They're having an open mic night and stuff. We'll go check it out, grab a beer or whatever." I said, "Okay." So after my show at Blue Canoe, I head back up to Memphis, and we go out to this club, and it's about 12:30, and they're doing kind of like a open stage thing, right? And there's this dude that he's like probably about 5'6", and maybe 110 pounds, like pretty small statured fella, and he's wearing like skin tight black leather pants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's got like the 2008 side swoosh emo haircut, black eyeliner, and then he's got like a saddle shirt on, like a Scully saddle shirt, you know what I'm talking about, with like the pearl snaps, and it's got the big stitching like a rodeo shirt.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's wearing one of those. And he gets up to play a couple songs. It's this dude's birthday, apparently. So he's out, I mean.
Sounds like a character.
Oh, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
And dude is so drunk. Like, I've seen guys so drunk that they fall over on stage, and he's right up there at that level. But also, he's definitely done a ton of cocaine, you know, because he's got the coke sweats going on. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God.
So he might fall over, or he might not go to sleep for 3 days.
Exactly. But he gets up on stage and he starts playing these songs, and it's kind of like, it's kind of a mix between like a traditional country and punk music and rockabilly, which is to say he's just playing like a 1-3-5, really fast, really sloppy, and the vocals are buried and you can't really hear anything. But at like first glance, it's really funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there watching him, and nobody else in this bar is paying any attention. And for whatever reason, I cannot take my eyes off this guy, right? But what happened is instead of just watching him and being like, oh my God, what a shit show, I actually like kind of tuned in, and I was hearing what he was saying, and I was like, this execution is extremely poor.
Yeah.
But he's actually like got something to say in these songs, you know? I guess to the point he played like 2 songs, and then he like, in kind of I feel like it was somewhere between a rock and roll move and his legs just giving out. He kind of like falls to his knees on the stage in like this acoustic open mic night in this smoky bar in the bad side of Memphis. You know, this is not like Beale Street tourism.
What bar was it?
I don't even know if I should say.
Oh, well, maybe.
Fuck it. It was, what's it called? P&H Cafe.
Okay, I don't know.
You probably wouldn't. I mean, it was kind of in a rough part of town. And dude falls down to the stage, and I heard him say just to himself, one more song. Yeah.
You can do it, man.
Yeah. And he gets up, and he plays this song, and kind of plays this song, and then he just stumbles off the stage and disappears into the night. And I found out that he was opening my show there the next night. And I'm like, oh, goodness.
This is great.
Yeah. And so the next night comes around, and the show's supposed to start at 9, and Dougie's supposed to go on at 9, and he don't show up. And we're like, well, yeah, he's dead. Definitely dead in an alley somewhere. And
man.
He shows up like an hour and a half late, no guitar. He's asking, so it's him and it's a buddy of mine, Brian, who's going to play, and he's got like this beautiful like 1955 Gibson that was his grandfather's, and
he's touring with that thing?
No, he lives in Memphis.
Oh, okay.
And so he
right.
doesn't tour with it. He just brought it out for a special occasion. And so Dougie comes, he got the no guitar, and he goes, hey, can I borrow that thing? And Brian's like, no.
Absolutely.
And the dude asked me, he's like, can I use your guitar for my set? And I'm like, no. And so eventually he hunts up a guitar somewhere and gets up and kind of does the same thing he did the night before.
Yeah.
And I eventually saw him get kicked out of the bar.
Of where you were
night.
playing?
Yeah, because he was going around the tables and like grabbing beer bottles and shaking them to see if there's anything left.
Oh,
like,
no.
Dude had some problems, man.
Yeah, issues.
Oh, yeah. Then after the show, we're loading out, right? And there's this homeless guy out there, which, you know, it's like smokers and musicians loading out gear are magnets for homeless guys to come up and ask you for money.
Let me help you with that. Let me help you. No, I got it.
Oh, yeah. And, we met this dude who kept trying to get money off of us, and I was like, no, it ain't happening. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, even if I had, like, I don't even have any money for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Dude, I'm a musician. You
that's
realize what we're doing right here?
Yeah, that's what I always tell guys is they're like, hey, man, can you got a couple bucks? And I'm like, no, but if you find somebody passing it out, point them my way too. And, you know, but this guy, he did not take it well when I was like, we don't have literally any money to give you.
Yeah.
And he just starts going like, why do you hate me? Why do you hate me? Yeah. And it was just a whole big thing. And anyways, we finally got loaded up and left out of there. And I wrote a song about it the next day. And it turned out to be a really good song. But I find that, like, if I play it and I don't tell the story with it, which the story is like, believe it or not, that was the abridged version. Like, if I told all the dirty details, oh my God, dude. Anyways.
You had to play that song
to backpedal. That's how I remember Tupelo, because all that happened like right after my first time in Tupelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very different experience.
What's the name of the song?
The Ghost of Memphis.
The Ghost of Memphis.
Yeah, because I thought about it, like between that guy who had all that hooked on booze and drugs and stuff, and then the guy that was living on the streets. That's one thing he said, is that he lived on the streets, and he had for years and years. He was an older dude. And I was like, the next morning when I was leaving town and I was thinking about all that, I was like, I'm more alike those guys than I am different from them. You know, like I said, like maybe the biggest difference is like maybe I had a mom who tried a little harder. Or maybe when I was riding in a car smoking a joint in high school, you know, the cops didn't pull us over, but they pulled those guys over. Maybe that's the difference. You know, it's like there's all these little variables and how you're more like that could be you. And so that's kind of what the song's about, you know, and you just get to this point where you're a ghost.
I know it happens, but just like the number of things that have to go wrong for you to for someone to end up in that position. I know it happens. And it's awful, but like, I just feel like if I woke up tomorrow and all of my family were gone from the earth, and all my closest friends, I feel like I would still have a number of people.
Oh, for sure.
That I could call.
But you know what it is?
I feel like once you go through all those people and you, I don't know, bum around, maybe, I don't know.
It's the same. It's like a mirror image of success. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at somebody, let's say somebody in the music industry that's successful, that's been working on it for 20 years, and they finally got to the point where they're successful, you get that first little break where somebody gives you a gig, right?
Yeah.
And then you go play that gig, and it goes really well, and they invite you to come to a writing session. And then you go to that writing session, you write a song, and maybe that song gets cut by this person, which gets you on this gig, which gets you on this tour, which the next thing you know, you're selling out theaters. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing in the opposite way. So imagine you're born into a situation that's maybe not the best home life, or maybe it's poverty, or maybe your parents have had through this cycle. And so then like you're a kid and somebody hurts you, and then that makes you angry, and that anger leads to you hurting somebody else. And then when you hurt somebody else, you get in a little bit of trouble, and that trouble gets magnified because you got nobody to help you get out of that trouble. Right. And then that leads to a cycle. So it's just like, it builds. It's
rarely
snowballs.
Like somebody like, I don't know, like you or me or Chance or whatever. Like I think that maybe ends up like that, but it's like you were talking about. It's the snowball effect of it starts way before. Yeah, and then
it's not the individual so much as it is the individual circumstances that are out of your control, because we're all just a product of our environment. You know, like the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you in this studio, I mean, it's just luck. Yeah.
It's just how things have,
it's crazy.
Aligned and happened. And
I mean, I know, because I can tell you 100% with certainty that I know a lot of guys who are like a hell of a lot more talented musicians than I'll ever be, that they just,
sitting
for whatever reason,
they're
just
in Nebraska
or
whatever.
Exactly.
Oh, I know. Yeah, all kinds of guys in Alabama or Georgia or wherever that are better at multiple things than I am.
Do you listen to David Ramirez at all? Mm-mm. You ever hear of this guy? He's from out of Austin. He's probably one of my top 5 favorite songwriters. Yeah. And he's like a songwriter, and he's got this song with a story he tells. And I think the line is something like, there's a plumber down in Arkansas, the best writer I ever met. When I asked where I could buy his CD, he just smiled and lit a cigarette. And like the story behind that is he had met this dude and they were at a campfire jam or something. And this guy's playing these amazing songs. And he asked him, he was like, where can I get your CD? And the guy was like, I don't have any fucking CDs, man. This is like,
I'm a plumber.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's just like, it makes you think about how many of these amazing songwriters are out there and you'll never hear their songs. And it sucks, but it also makes you appreciate like every little chance you get to play your songs to other people. Sure. It's a huge deal, man. Huge deal.
When did you start playing music? In Tobias, is that right?
Yeah.
Tobias, Nebraska?
Yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Not as long as some people, but I think I was probably early elementary school. I started playing piano. You know? But when I was a kid, my dad had played in bands like when he was my age, and so he had like a 1969 Ovation guitar. You know, all those guys back then played those Ovations, and so he had one of those in the closet, and he had an old banjo in the closet. And I would go through, and when I was just real young, I got like a Sears ukulele, and that was my first guitar. You know? And so I would always ask my dad, I'd be like, let's jam, let's play guitar. And so he would play a couple chords, but you know, he's a diesel mechanic by trade. And so the older he would get, like his fingers would work less and less on guitar strings. And so eventually I got to the point where, you know, my mom had me and my sister playing piano. And then when I was like 13, I was like, man, I really want a guitar. I want a guitar real bad. And my mom goes, well, if we, you know, we didn't have a ton of money. We weren't like dirt floor poor or anything, but it wasn't just like, well, Evan wants a guitar. Let's go buy him a new Gibson, you know? And so I begged and I begged and I begged, and I finally got one of those first stacked acoustic guitars from Walmart, and it comes with a little book and it shows you how to figure out the chords, and that was it for me, man.
So you got a sister. How many siblings do you have?
2 older brothers, 1 younger sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do they play? And like Logan plays bass.
Yeah, Logan plays bass.
Your sister still play piano?
Not really.
No.
But she was damn good, man.
Yeah.
She was a lot better than I ever got. She would play like, I remember her playing that song from Peanuts. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. She played the crap. Oh, yeah. And you watch that left hand going, and you're like...
I've never been able to get the 2 hands at one time thing.
I feel bad because I used to be able to do it when I was in like 8th grade.
Yeah.
I could play Beethoven. I could play Chopin.
Wow.
And then you don't play for 6 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And you go... In your mind, you're like, well, yeah, I can play this. And then you sit down at the sheet music, and... it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I lost it. So,
the whole like left hand is doing bass and chord, chord, bass chord, and then you're doing melody with your right hand.
That's a general idea.
It's confusing. I can do like bass with my left hand and chord with my right hand. I can do that all day long.
That's what I can do too anymore.
Desperado, or you know, The Night That Drove Old Dixie Down, you know, whatever, like songs like that I can play. And just because I was telling somebody the other day, I just revert, because I've been playing guitar since I was 9. So everything I do, I can play almost, you know, whatever instrument, I can play something on it, but I just revert it to guitar in my head. Mm-hmm. Like I figure out, okay, this is this chord and this is this chord. Okay, so what is on guitar? Okay, and then just kind of figure it out from there. So that's why anytime I'm playing piano, I'm just playing guitar in my head. Just
I know what you mean, because like, the best thing that I got out of piano was it kind of gave me really good ear training. Mm-hmm. And so like one of my things that I feel lucky with is like if somebody's playing a song, you know, the work came in on guitar where I just figured out the shapes, you know, and I look at it like kind of landmarks on the fretboard. Yeah. And so I remember the shapes and I know what shapes work. And then out of those shapes, you have your collection of different riffs and licks. And then, but luckily the piano tied that all together, giving me an ear. So that now if I'm at like a bar and somebody's like, hey, come sit in, you know, you can just hear what key it's in, and you can just
Right.
hop right in it, and then you got your whole library of shit that you know works every time, and it works
And
out.
those keys, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say that I'm a very good guitar player at all, but I know it works. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like I know
Or,
enough to
more
get
importantly,
by.
I know what doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a good friend in Omaha. He's a producer there. His name's Scott Gate. He's one of the best, just one of the best utility musicians I've ever heard. I mean, this guy, he shreds guitar. He's amazing. And on keys, Hammond, drums, great vocalist, everything you ever. He's a full band in one person, and he's better at every instrument than most guys are.
Yeah.
And
One of those guys.
oh yeah, and he told me one time, he was like, the key is knowing what not to play.
Oh, yeah.
And then that just, I think he told me that when I was like 17 or 18. And we were playing in a band together at the time, and I was like, I had not ever thought of it like that. And he was like, that's what music is, you know, that's a common old saying, but the music is the space between the notes.
Yeah.
When you can kind of grasp that, it makes you a much more better player, because then you're not trying to show off.
I had a
You're
guitar
just
player
trying to
one
play
time,
oh,
killer guitar player, but he did a lot of like the sweeps and the tap, like he was like super good, like rock player.
Yeah.
And which we worked well together because I'm not that at all. But he'd be playing a solo and just going just crazy. I'd lean into his ear. I'd say, "Hey, more notes, less feeling."
exactly.
Because he'd just be.
Yeah. Well, that's like you listen to B.B. King, man. He'll play a one-note solo, and you'll cry your eyes out.
Yeah, he'll
You
just
know
stay
what
in
I
this
mean?
little like 4-note box. I'm
That's
not
all
going
you
anywhere
need.
else. I'm just staying right here. You know?
Yeah, man. That's the kind of stuff that I like, and that I've seen my writing and my composition kind of start taking that route, and you know, I feel like the better you get as a songwriter is not, you know, what words or melodies you use, it's what you start to leave out and
Yeah.
what you start to not say. And so like I was just listening to a song yesterday. I can't remember who it was by. I want to maybe Fred Eaglesmith, the guy I'm traveling with. He's a big fan of this dude, and he played me this song, and it was talking about this girl. Like I think it was called like Patti Smith or Ann something.
Yeah.
And it's talking about like all she wants is a new screen door, and like that was the chorus, is like all she wants is a new screen door where like, you know, the wind will come in and hear the rain. And God, I wish I could remember what the song was called, but it was just like, what I loved about this song is it grabbed like this moment in time in this woman's life where, you know, she's older in her life, she's lost her husband, and she's at the point where all she wants is a screen door so she can, you know, keep the bugs out of
Yeah.
the kitchen and hear the
That's
rain
her
falling.
aspirations right now. That's
Yeah, and like it's such a, it's not this big significant question in life. Like I feel like the younger you are, like the stage that I'm at now, and with my last album, it's all like questioning like God and religion and the state of the world and
Yeah.
like my own internal struggles and stuff.
Right.
And then you hear these guys that you would think, you know, they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're writing these songs, and they get to the point where they're singing about a screen door on the kitchen.
It's just simple.
And
Spacey.
exactly, and you hear it and you go, I feel like there's, you know, you might go, what the hell is that song about? You know, like that makes no sense to me. But if you're willing to work with them, the brilliance is the simplicity.
Yeah.
And it's just like you realize like all this other stuff, it doesn't even matter. And it's just, I don't know, I thought it was so beautiful. We were driving and I was like listening to the song, and I almost just teared up listening to it because it was so just every day. And it was just like the writer grabbed this moment out of a second of time, and it was just this beautiful, innocent, wholesome, like, it was this wonderful song.
Yeah, the last
and that's
few
what I want to
years-
get now.
I've grown to appreciate, and I've always appreciated them, but really appreciated like John Prine and Christofferson and some of those guys for their like same kind of thing, for their simplicity of their words. They're not trying to throw a bunch of syllables into this line, or, you know, fancy bridge here, or fancy like different chord change here. All those things are good and well when it works, but like just the simplicity of, you know, a good John Prine song.
Yeah.
You know, so like
It's
the
funny
older
you
I've
say
got
that.
the last couple of years, the stuff I've written is, I'm not at all comparing myself to John Prine, but like my stuff is kind of angled more that way for those reasons. I feel like it's just trying to find the easiest way to just get this little bitty point across, you know, this simple
Exactly, because you can say a lot with a little.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what a good writer is. And like for me and my buddy John, who I'm traveling with, we were just talking about John Prine last night, and I was like, you know, I wouldn't have considered myself a fan of John Prine for a long time. And I think a lot of it was just maybe a taste in, like, different tastes of his delivery.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it that I heard, I was like, not for me. But when you sit and you listen to the song and you're like, that's the thing about a good song is like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of rap music lately, and I've been listening to like some death metal music lately, and you know, singer-songwriter, Americana, roots, country, whatever you want. And one thing I've noticed about all the songs that I really like, no matter what genre it is it's all music that moves me emotionally. And I'm like, the thing that ties up, it's all folk music. Because I was listening to that, and it's like, some of these, do you listen to Tyler, the Creator, hip-hop guy?
No.
Here's some of my favorites right now. Like Tyler, the Creator.
Okay.
Run the Jewels. You gotta know them.
No.
Do you know? Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Like
I'm
Kendrick
reaching the
Lamar.
old person stage in my life of like, I don't listen to many new things.
I don't
should.
either. And I was making a huge mistake because I started listening to like hip hop in particular.
Yeah, I want to write these down. What were these?
Run the Jewels. You gotta listen to them. You gotta listen to Tyler, the Creator.
That's Run the Jewels, people, not the Jews.
Yeah.
Not Run the Jews.
Well, everybody else listening to this is guaranteed heard of these guys.
Oh, yeah.
But no, but the thing is like on the surface, you might listen to them and think it's one thing, but like if you listen to the songs, listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, especially for me as a middle class white guy, listening to like black hip hop artists, it's given me this entire, you're able to get a different perspective.
Yeah.
Which is super important. And then you also realize that like the stuff these guys are writing about, and it's not all hip hop, it's these guys are not writing about their cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These guys, it's like, it's folk music. Like it's this amazing level of intense writing that's like so pointed and so concise, and like everything they say, I'm telling you, man, it is amazing writing. Amazing.
Awesome. I'm gonna check
writing.
that out. I'm always looking for a good gym playlist ads for when I'm working out.
Yeah, and so like when I listen to stuff like that, like it's funny because like I can connect that to writers like John Prine and guys like, you know,
It's like you said, it's folk music. It's just with a different.
it's just from a different place.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's a different perspective on it, but it's like it's all connected. That's like, you know, the term Americana music.
Yeah, whatever that.
I know exactly
yeah.
what that is. I feel like I got the best definitive definition in my head. And you want to hear it? Americana music is not like a genre. You know, you have like your traditional country.
Yeah.
You got your country music, you know, folk, whatever. I feel like what Americana is for all the music that's kind of that gray area.
Yeah.
It's just a blanket term for that stuff. But the key is like with Americana music, it pulls from all distinctly American styles of music. You know, like a little bit of blues, a little bit of country music, stuff like that. It's like those are all distinctly American styles of music. Mm-hmm. But like my music that I would write, I would consider it country music, but it's definitely not like traditional country or like honky tonk country. It's kind of just an amalgamation of all these different things.
That's what Wikipedia says. It's an amalgam of American roots music.
Yeah, exactly.
Different phases.
And so, did you see that? Did you see that Tyler Childers speech? The Americana.
I was
music?
there.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah, I was at the Ryman. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what was it like? The mood in the room when that announcer comes out and he's talking about how like Tyler Childers
Yeah.
is so important, and like playing his music, and ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Childers.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and literally says, my name is Tyler Childers, and then does a speech and leaves. And then the guy comes right back out and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Childers.
Yeah, well,
What was that like? I watched that video and I could not believe that.
honestly, I think
We're kind of regressing
everybody
to the
in
name
place,
again.
everybody in the room. First off, it's hard to understand what Tyler's saying. Like
Yeah.
when he's talking, I think most people didn't have any idea what he was saying on the microphone. But most people in the room either like they were like, "What just happened? What did he just say?
Did he accept the
And-
award?
Yeah. But as far as that announcer guy, you got to think like he probably doesn't know who Tyler Childers is. As soon as he got done introducing him, he probably walked backstage and had 5 different people talking to him, telling me, okay, you got to do this. You got 60 seconds before you got to be back out there. And then we got this coming up. You know, all that stuff was going on. He wasn't listening to what Tyler Childers was saying out there. So I don't think he was trying to snub Tyler Childers at all. I think he probably just doesn't know the difference or whatever.
I was wondering because like that is the one thing.
I was more
kind of
confused
what we
at
were
what
talking
Tyler
about earlier.
said.
I was 100% confused by that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like, were you snubbing the Americana people?
I
that
feel
just
like
gave
a
you this
little
award?
bit.
I think so too.
I feel like a little bit. And like I can kind of see where he's coming from with that because I feel like he was maybe snubbing the kind of the clickiness and the over marketing.
Right.
Of some things.
For people listening and that don't know what the hell we're talking about, at the Americana Music Awards, which were like a couple of weeks ago here in Nashville, it was at the Ryman Auditorium, and it's an award show just like any other award show in music, but it's for Americana artists, quote unquote. And Tyler Childers, he won. What did he win? Like the emerging artist thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so he won and got up there, and he's Eastern Kentucky, isn't that right? I think he's Kentucky somewhere. So he's a Kentucky hillbilly. He's fantastic, great songs. You should go check him out if you don't know him. Tyler Childers, but he's got this crazy Kentucky Hills accent, so you can't really understand him
Unless you're familiar with Kentucky.
Unless you're he got up there and said something along the lines, and you can Google it or YouTube or whatever, but it's something along the lines of he compared being considered Americana to being in like purgatory.
Yeah.
But he considers himself a country songwriter and singer. And he just said, like, very quickly before he walked off stage, he said that he considered Americana being just like put in purgatory.
And
I think everybody was like, what just happened?
I can kind of see where he's coming from with that because I don't know. It's like if you make Americana its own thing, where it's like we're trying to be Americana. We wear hats that we only wear to shows that we don't wear out on the street. And like I got
a lot of denim.
I got a pair of Red Wings that have never seen the dirt. You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of the bullshit side, that over marketed side. And I get what he says about like I'm a country artist. I'm a country singer.
Yeah.
Because I would say the same thing about me. And the whole reason I would say that is because I grew up in the country. Like, whatever music I make is country music. I can't make anything else.
Yeah.
It is always country music. And I feel like it's the same thing for, like, Tyler Childers and a lot of these guys. But what's hard is, like, we would consider ourselves, like, this is country. But then you come to places like Nashville or you go to places where the larger public, they say, well, you're not country. You're this. You're going to be this. We're going to market you as Americana. Yeah. It's like, I feel like the frustration there and in that speech was like, no, you don't get to tell me that I'm this. It's like, I'm telling you I'm this. I grew up, I lived this. I'm the one telling. And I feel like, I don't know. I know that there's a lot of shit going on backstage, but take the time to know who's winning. Take the time to know how, like, who's the handler. You got to know how to say the name, man.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you on that. That's
when I heard that, and especially, I was just like,
it's not acceptable for him to mispronounce that any of the times that he did.
Yeah,
like it's not just that last time. He should have known from the get go how to say Tyler Childers' name,
especially because he won a major award.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I gotta say, if I ever won that award, and I was in that same thing, and they were like, ladies and gentlemen, even Bartels. I'd be like, are you a telemarketer? Like, we would hang up on you if you called my house because you obviously don't know us, haven't taken the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
God bless Tyler Childers, man.
Yeah.
You know, 3 of my favorite artists are from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Because Tyler and Sturgill's from Kentucky.
Right.
And you know who else? I think one of the most realist country musicians and songwriters out there right now, because he does whatever he wants to do, Mr. Wheeler Walker Jr.
Yeah.
He's a Kentucky boy too, man. Kentucky's got a lot of good stuff going on. They also have a great brewery in Paducah called Dry Ground Brewing Co. They've had me play there a couple times, and they got some of the finest beer. And
I've played
Kentucky.
Paducah before. I forgot the name of the bar I played there.
It's a good town, man.
I like Paducah. Yeah, I like Kentucky. I got no problem. I got no qualms with Kentucky. You know, they were, you know, growing up, I always thought anybody north of Tennessee was a Yankee, but
Yeah, where's that line?
it's actually above Kentucky. But
Because let me tell you something.
there's rednecks all across this country. Let me tell you, folks.
You want to know something weird? I was playing in Rochester, Illinois a few weeks ago, Rochester's a small town right outside of Springfield. And so I was driving east there, and to get there, you go through Hannibal, Missouri, which is where Mark Twain lived and worked, and where like Tom and Huck took place. You got, you know, there's Confederate flags flying in some of these houses and stuff. And it's literally like the same. It's a straight line east to Springfield, Illinois, which is like home of Abe Lincoln, land of Lincoln, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, but one of those places is considered the South, and one of those places is not considered the South.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It was such a different time. It's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's like growing up, I always thought anybody like north of Tennessee or Kentucky or whatever was a Yankee. And that meant they lived in the city and they talked weird.
Yeah.
Which is what I thought.
I remember
and then
the
you
first-
learn, like, especially once I started traveling, like some of the most countryest, redneckest people I've ever met in my life are from Iowa and Wisconsin and Illinois.
100%, man.
Like-
Like, it's so funny. I remember like the first time that I really came down south and heard southern accents, of which there are many.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And like, it's fun now because you can kind of pick out the difference between like Alabama and Georgia and Kentucky and Tennessee for sure, or like white women from Dallas is, you know what I mean? And
Let me write a song called "White Women from Dallas."
man, you hear a white woman from Dallas talk, it don't matter if she's saying the nicest thing, you're always gonna feel like you're in a little bit of trouble. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'll have to think about that next
But
time.
it's so funny because like, I wouldn't, being from Nebraska, I would never consider myself having an accent, and I've never had one in my ears. And I come down here and people are like, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" And I was like,
To me, you talk rather generically.
exactly. That's
Not
what
that
I
that's
say
a bad
too.
thing or a good thing. It's just like
I know, but it's like you get to these different places and like a lack of an accent is kind of an accent.
okay.
You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean? And it's like, and I've
you
noticed.
pronounce those words correctly. Where are you from?
Yeah. And you know what else I've noticed? Is like, there's little things, there's little words that I'll say that is where you can really tell. Because there's people down south that don't have accents either.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they kind of have the clean Midwestern tongue. But there's differences in like, my wife pointed this out to me. It's like the word BAG, as in a grocery bag.
Yeah.
I never realized I said a grocery bag. Like bag.
Bag.
And that's something that they do like northern in Chicago and like Minnesota, stuff like that. And then the other part of it is when I met my wife, she grew up in town, you know, like in the city, which is 250,000 people, but in Nebraska, it's the second biggest city there.
What city?
Lincoln.
Okay.
And I grew up very rurally. And so even there's like a difference in like slang terms that people use and the way they talk and just the cadence. And she would always say to me, like right when we met, she would be like, especially when we go back down to the farm, she's like, "God, why do you talk so slow?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "You talk like this when we're with your dad." And I'm like, I would never notice that, you know. And then I read like some study some science journal did about like people in the country tend to talk slower because everything moves slower.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
there's like some correlation between the population of the city and the speed with which people speak and walk.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So I don't know. It's just
we're just ants in an ant farm, my friend. That's all we are.
Dude, I know. It all comes. We're all just creatures of circumstance, my friend. What can you do?
When did you start gigging and playing shows and stuff?
When I was 14.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's about like when we had our first show. And it was just actually the first show I ever played with my band. It had two of the guys that are in my band now, my brother Logan and then my cousin Jake.
So Logan's
Brand.
been in it since day
Yeah,
one.
Logan and Jake have been in it since day one, which is like a long time ago now, over 10 years. And then we had another guy, and we were playing the show in a town called Narca, Kansas, right south of the Nebraska border, which is like an hour from us. And excuse me, there was like 150 people there. It was a big show that somebody had just rented out the hall, and they let us come play our 6 songs that were terrible. You know, but we did it and we fell in love with it. And I remember telling my dad, I was like, this is the best night of my life. And then we played those. And then when I was 17, I got my first like pro gig playing with a country cover band. And we played like, I'm not going to say like old country, but we played like 90s country to early to mid 2000s country. It was a big cover band in Nebraska called Cactus Hill, and I played with them for like 5 years, you know, whereas kind of 2 to 4 shows a week usually, definitely every Friday and Saturday night, you know, and did that.
That's good. That's a lot of experience. Like
it gets you good learning. Quick, you know what I mean? And then we put this band together as like an acoustic 3-piece probably in 2012. And then worked for a few years, gigged with that, and then added a drummer, and then
the Stony Lonesomes.
Yeah,
cool.
And then I got a new drummer 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in January that Brian Keeling joined us, and that was, oh my god, dude, that like he's what made our band a band. You
That's
know,
awesome.
Because he
a good glue that.
He was like. He's like the real old pro in our band, you know. He's 20 years older than us, and he toured with Shooter Jennings for a long time. Made a bunch of records with like Shooter and Dave and all those guys.
Yeah.
And so he was on did a lot of those, and he played with.
Is he a Nebraska guy too?
No, man, he's a Texas guy. He grew up in Dallas, and then lived in Austin, and then he was in Nashville for a long time. Here in Nashville. And then I think before he moved to Nebraska, he was living in L.A. And he was touring with Eric Sardinas, Big Motor.
Name
you know that?
Sounds familiar.
And he met a gal in Lincoln, and they started going together. And so after that tour, he moved to Lincoln.
You're so old school.
Yeah.
They started going together.
What? Is that not a thing people say?
No, it just sounds...
They started their courtship. And no, and so he moved to Lincoln. And this was at a time where I had a buddy of mine named Zach Zollner. He had just tracked first 5 songs on the record that we were getting together. Yeah. And he was moving out to L.A. To work. He's a full-time drummer, and he tours full-time. And so he was moving out there, and I was like, well, I don't know who I'm going to have finish the rest of this album, let alone play live shows. And I was doing a songwriters round at this bar in Lincoln called the Zoo Bar, legendary little blues bar. Like, everybody's played there. In fact, I've heard tall tales that even old Jason Isbell played in there one time for like a Zoo Fest shows, a music festival they do. This is years and years ago. I wouldn't be surprised.
That guy's been touring and doing it for
I've heard, because people told me, they were like, you wouldn't believe it. We saw him in here. There's 40 people in here. And I was like, that's cool. But anyways, I'm playing a writer's round in there. And this dude comes up afterwards, introduced himself to me as Brian Keeling. And he goes, at this point, I had heard talk of him around town. And he goes, man, I would love to drum for you. And I was like, you're hired. Awesome. Right there. No interview process, no nothing. Yeah. And he come in, and it was just good fit, like personality-wise with everybody and playing-wise with everybody. And he ended up cutting I think we have 9 songs with drums on the record, and he laid them all down in 4 hours, and he's been with us ever since. It's been awesome.
Hell yeah.
Man. Yeah, he was the glue.
That the Devil God in Me record? Awesome.
Yeah,
People, you should go download it. Stream it if you want to, but go download the damn thing.
That came out a year ago on Sunday.
Okay.
September 23rd. It was a year old.
Very cool.
Yeah, man, that was... God, you put records out. You know, that's
it's an experience.
Trip,
it's a lot. I need to do one now, and I'm just like, I just don't want to go. It's just a lot of shit.
It's so much work. It's so much work. And then as soon as you put one out, you got people asking, when's the next record come out? It's like, it could be anywhere from 2 years to 20 years. But we're starting to work on another one now where I got the whole thing written. Yeah. But we did a bunch of, like our summer tour schedule with the band, doing different festivals and stuff with the band. And then right now, this month and last month, I've been doing a lot of solo acoustic work and stuff. Yeah. And then I got to go to Texas not next week. In 2 weeks, I'll be in Texas for like a week or so. And so...
Ooh, where are you playing in Texas?
A lot of fun places. I'm doing a... what is it? That starts on Wednesday, the Blue Light in Lubbock, and then Blaine's Pub.
What weeks are these?
This starts October 11th. Let me look at the calendar so I make sure.
I'm just trying to think of this. This will come out. We're recording this, folks, on September the 25th.
Yeah. So October 10th, Wednesday night, okay. I'm playing the Blue Light in Lubbock, and the 11th, San Angelo, Blaine's Pub. The 12th, playing this cool place called Hotel Turkey, this little town called Turkey, Texas. It's like this old destination hotel. They got a bunch of, my buddy Ross Cooper's playing there at some point too. Then the 13th, this hasn't been confirmed 100%, but it sounds like it's going to happen, so I'll plug it either way. I think I'm going to be just south of Austin with Mickey and the Motor Cars. Oh, nice. You listen to them? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hope that works out. It hasn't been. I can't remember what the town's called.
New Braunfels?
Maybe. Yeah, I know it's got a B in it, but it's like 30 minutes south of Austin.
Probably New Braunfels.
That could be it. But hopefully I get to play that gig with them, open that show up, and then the next night, the 14th, the Sunday, I'm doing this thing called the Downtown Music Series in Dallas. Yeah. It's like a listening room thing. That'll be cool. So, yeah, it'll be a nice little 5-6 day Texas run. Whenever I go
Texas
down
people,
there,
if you're listening, go see Evan.
Dude, I feel like I've been really lucky. Like, when I go down to Texas, I've never had anything less than a great time.
Yeah, Texas is awesome. Every time I go out there, I'm thinking about moving.
I know. There. Well, yeah, it's we just went down and we were doing for my buddy Ben Ryan. He does this. He's one of those guys at the ranch in Fort Worth, and he does this back to school bash mini day festival every year. And so he had us come down. And it was right the same week as my wife's birthday. Oh, yeah. And so she took a few days off work, and we drove down and stayed in Waco for a few days because we're both big HGTV nuts, so we want to go check out that Magnolia. And here's the thing. If y'all are considering going to Magnolia.
What is this? I'm not an HGTV person.
So it's at Chip and Joanna Gaines. They do their Fixer Upper show where they take the worst houses in the best neighborhood. And it's really cool, man. They're cool. They're cool people. And they got in Waco, they got this, there's basically Baylor, a Chewy's, and then this Magnolia. And that's about the town. The rest of it's kind of rough. Waco, okay. Yeah. But, man, all the stuff there, it's cool. It's a little overpriced for a musician. But I tell you what, they got this little trailer where they sell cupcakes out of. Okay. Best damn cupcake I've had in my life. Yeah. Oh my God. That alone.
Next time I go through,
that alone was worth the drive. But anyway, so we went down and we hung out and went to Fort Worth and played the show, and it's so fun. And my wife was with me, and we were really strongly considering, we were like, we should just not go back. But our son was Texas up in Lincoln, so we were like, we at least got to go get him.
Ah, yes, the son.
And then we'll take him back.
He'd probably be pissed if he never came back.
Yeah, but he would not be pissed if we took him and relocated to Texas, and we were just like, you're a Texan now. He doesn't. It'd be pretty close. He wouldn't can't understand words yet. He's too young.
Yeah, so not long after the CD came out, you had an addition to the Bartels family.
Yeah.
When was he born?
December 17th, 2017.
What's his name?
Cohen Ezra Bartels.
That's a good name. That's a good
Yeah,
song.
we named him after Leonard Cohen.
Okay.
That's where that come from.
Yeah. Very cool.
I figure-
How does the balance of being married and having a newborn child while still also trying to make sense out of this crazy business that we have here?
Well, it's something.
Do you
I'll
have like
tell
a
you
day
what.
job that you do during the week? Or
No,
does
I
your
play music full time,
Yeah.
write songs full time, and travel tour.
Yeah.
And so basically, the way we do everything is my wife has a day job,
Yeah.
and she's a social worker for a health insurance company in Omaha, and so that's one of the reasons we moved out west. Is now we live right by where her office is, and so when I'm not on the road, during the week, like
Yeah.
Monday through Wednesday, Thursday, I'll stay at home and I get to hang out with Cohen,
Yeah.
while Mama's at work, and then she comes home for lunch and comes home, and by the time she's home at 5, I usually got dinner going, it's everything ready, so I get to be a stay-at-home dad and a full-time musician.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
And then like when I'm doing stuff like this where I got to go out on the road, for a week or 5 days or so, I'm pretty lucky because her mom is retired teacher or a retired para, and she comes up and stays and watches Cohen.
Oh, yeah.
And then my mom too she works at an elementary school, so they get summers off. So having grandmas be able to help watch, but even like it's like a family thing, because like my sister-in-law Anna, Logan's wife, she's taken a day off of work.
Yeah.
In October to watch him while I'm in Texas. Logan has taken a day off to come hang up with him. And it's just one of those things, like, my goal is to someday be doing music successfully enough that, like, my wife don't have to work.
Yeah.
So that she can just be mama. You know what I mean? And, like, I can take him on the road with me. I feel like once he hits maybe, like, between the ages of 6 and 8, we'll see how he's acting. And I feel like during the summer, I'll just be like, come on, buddy. You're
gonna
coming
carry my
with
shit around.
Yeah, you're coming with Dad for
Yeah.
a couple months while we go do touring and stuff. But
Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, no, it's definitely it's tough. But I find like I myself work better with like a regimented schedule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I've done some major life changes this last year where
Yeah.
I was you get this as a kid, you get this romanticized idea of being a musician where you're like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna drink that whiskey, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna smoke those cigarettes and smoke those joints and do all this and do all that, and then that next thing you know, you've been doing that for 8 years, and your jeans don't fit anymore, and you can't breathe walking up the stairs, and you can only sing for a half an hour before you lose your voice. And so in January, I was like, I'm gonna get in shape, and so put away booze and all that stuff and started running, and I've lost 70 pounds since January.
I was going to ask. I'm comfortable in my sexuality, so I was going to say that you look much better.
Yeah.
Than, not that you didn't look good before. But
I'm
you
a
look
hell of a lot healthier.
You look much healthier. There you
Yeah,
go.
like
That's a good way to say it.
I can run now.
Yeah.
Like I run like 2 to 5 miles a day and go to a gym for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So like this is my typical day.
Yeah.
Is I'll wake up at like between 7 and 7:30. Wake up, give Cohen breakfast, hang out with him. Chris will go to work, and me and Cohen will go for like a walk, or we go on adventures.
Yeah.
We try to.
Yeah.
So like his car seat, we call it the adventure chair.
Okay.
And we got different songs for everything that we make up.
that's
Whether it's
awesome.
changing diapers or getting in the adventure chair, and then him and Dad go on their adventure, and we go out to it can be anything from running to the bank or the grocery store or going for a walk around the lake or anything.
Yeah.
And then my wife comes home for lunch, and we hang out, and while she's home for an hour for lunch, I'll go run 5 miles, come back, take a shower, she'll go back to work.
Yeah.
And I'll start getting stuff ready for supper, and she'll get home at 5, and I'll go to the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours, lift as much weights as I can lift,
Yeah.
as quick as I can, come back, finish up supper. Baby goes down to bed about 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
We eat dinner, go to sleep at 9:30,
Do it
watch an
again.
episode of The Office, and then do that until I got to go out on the road.
Right.
So
Yeah, man. So did you Was it just start exercising that made the difference, or was it like changing what you ate, or the stopping drinking, thing, or just all together?
Like it was a slow change. Like I had to last year around July, I had to start making slow changes, like diet, and first thing was like cigarettes got to go. You know what I mean? They got to go. That's like about the worst thing you can do for you, especially as somebody who wants to be a singer.
I kind of just off and on smoked. I was never like a pack and a half a day or anything like that. But I would enjoy, like in the mornings I would have one or two with a cup of coffee, and then in the evenings with the drinks I would have whatever. But I kind of cut down, then I'd do a little bit, and then I cut back, and I was like having smoking like maybe one or two a day. And when I started this podcast last year, and the first time I heard my voice on the GarageBand listening back, I was like, shit, I gotta stop.
Yeah,
like I can't afford to be any raspier than I am right now.
No, I know what you mean, man. And like, it's one of those things where it's just like with drinking anymore. Like I didn't quit drinking for moral reasons.
Yeah,
it was mainly for, like, I never had a drinking problem or anything. It was just like, it doesn't align with the goals that I've set for myself. So I'll still occasionally, my rule is like, if it's a drink worth having, something that I'll remember, I'll have a drink. You know, like if I'm out on a birthday dinner, I'll get a glass of wine, or if I'm with a good buddy that I haven't seen, or we're doing something memorable. Yeah, you know, I'm not just gonna drink for the sake of drinking. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the same thing with smoking. It's like, you know, there's sometimes like maybe on your anniversary, you know what I mean? Yeah. After all your anniversary celebrations, maybe you want to go out on a porch and have a glass of whiskey and a smoke of Parliament, you know? I feel like you know what I'm saying.
I do,
and
absolutely.
It's like sometimes you want to do that, but it's like, it's got to be just every once in a while thing. And that's the opposite I found with stuff that's like good for you, like eating healthy and running. Yeah. That's got to be an everyday
It's got to be consistency is key. And it's so easy in the show business world or whatever to just be like, well, I'm only going to drink on the nights I play. Well, when you play 4 or 5 nights a week, and you're only going to start, I just like to have a drink before I play, and then I'll have one while I'm playing. Well, I like 2 before I play, and then by that you're having like 4 or 5 a night, 5 nights a week.
Oh yeah, and you might not ever get drunk, but you're having 50 drinks a week.
It's a lot of calories. It's a lot of poisoning your body.
Yeah, man, and I don't know, it's crazy. A lot of what I had to do for me is I had to reevaluate what I thought was cool. You know what I mean?
I totally,
like, for 100%. A long time I always thought these guys like the James Dean, the artfully, staying up 24 hours a day and smoking a pack of cigarettes and just scribbling furiously in your notebook. And it's like,
standing outside the hotel with your sunglasses on, drinking a cup of coffee, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, and then you see these guys that look like they're 85 and you found out they're 52. Yeah. And then you see guys that, like we were talking about Joe Rogan earlier. He's a huge change for me, like him and like Cam Haynes and all these guys that are in their 50s and they look great.
Yeah, they look like they're 30.
It's like, oh, well, that's what's cool.
For sure.
That's what's cool, is being healthy, be able to run fast, lift heavy things, do stuff that you want. Because, so we had Cohen when I was 24 years old when he was born. Yeah. So when he's 20, I'll be 44 years old. Yeah. And it's like, I better still be able to whoop his ass. You know what I mean? I'll be able to play and run around, and I wanna when I'm older, I wanna enjoy my life and not be old and tired and
preach it, brother. Preach it. I'm right there with you.
That's what's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what's cool.
I'm 31 and
you look great.
Have no idea when or if I'll ever be married or have a kid. But if that happens, it might be when I'm 40. You know, I don't know. And so I want to be able to. No. But if I have a kid at 40, that means when that kid's going to be 8 when I'm 48. So I want to be able to get out there and throw the baseball or the football or
dude,
move around, squat down and play with them.
60, 70-year-olds that they can do stuff that would have been unheard of 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like our generation is the first group of people that it will not be uncommon to live to 100 years of age.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
Like, I think we'll see more centenarians coming up.
Yeah,
than we ever
because
have
not
before.
just because of science, but science is part of it, what
Mm-hmm.
will happen in the next 40, 50 years, but also because we just understand more about taking care of ourselves and about being healthy and about those things. Yeah, for sure. And like you were talking, so you've lost like 70 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've lost, at my heaviest, I was a little over 300.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would not have guessed
Yeah,
that.
that was in college. Really, like, and I lost some of that. So really, in the last 10 years or so, my heaviest, it's been like 265, 270, something like that. And I'm like 212 now. But like, it's you don't really realize it until you maybe pick up a 70-pound dumbbell or
How
something,
much that
you
is.
know? And then you think about all the times you stand up off the couch, you stand up out of this chair, you bend over to tie your shoe, you like all those things. You're like, man, no wonder my back is fucked up and probably will be for the rest of my life.
I know,
because I
dude.
carried around 270 pounds
I know, it's crazy.
for so long with the same skeleton. Like
Yep.
I saw that in an illustration.
And less
one time.
muscle.
Yeah, less muscle, same skeleton,
And more weight.
70 pounds more weight. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy life. All right, so you're going to be in Texas coming up.
Yep.
I'm going to check out the Jewels. And let's see, what else? You got any good jokes?
Probably nothing that'd be good to say on
On the microphone?
recording.
Yeah, I got a couple of those. We'll tell those after.
Here's what you do.
Okay.
Here's what you do. I want you to look up Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
Listen to the song Kill Your Masters. I want you to look up Tyler, the Creator. Listen to anything by him.
Okay.
Look up David Ramirez.
Ramirez, got it.
Here's what you listen to from him, my personal favorite.
Okay.
What's it called? I think it's called Preacher. Something like that. It's off of his album The Rooster. Listen to that album first. He's got some, I'm telling you, he is a songwriter.
I'll definitely check it out for sure.
Man, and I don't know. I would say listen to those and you'll have a great week.
What's your favorite podcast other than mine, of course?
My favorite besides this, well, I say it's probably, I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan because he's got a lot of interesting guys on. But my favorite
if Joe Rogan
person-
was a religion, I would be an evangelical Roganist.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%. Same here. But I really like Joey Coco Diaz a lot.
Yeah.
I like his podcast a lot. He's one of the funniest dudes out there.
When he gets going,
He goes,
it's
man.
funny.
I listen to him a lot. I listen to Bert Kreischer a lot. And I listen to Theo Vaughn a lot
Yeah.
this past
Theo,
weekend.
I like Theo better when he's been on other podcasts than necessarily on his podcast.
You know, he just found me out of the blue and sent me an email. I was like, can I play one of your songs on
Really?
my podcast? Yeah, and it really blew my shit up. So
That's awesome.
if anybody knows Theo Vaughn personally, hit him up and say, Evan Bartels says.
Did you go see him? Oh, no, that's right. So you weren't here. He was here like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
He was in Nashville.
Zanies,
I wanted
right?
to go, but it was sold out by the time I looked.
Yeah, that dude's
He's hilarious.
If you get time,
Bruh.
dude. I know, man. The way he talks,
And it's just, I feel like that's just really him. Like, that's
Oh,
just
100%,
He's
like-
from South Louisiana. Like, that's just
dude. He's
the
awesome.
way he is. Yeah.
Great haircut too.
Absolutely. Mullet.
Oh
like,
yeah,
Extreme.
Oh, and you know who else has a great podcast for all of you touring musicians who got long ass drives ahead of you? Hardcore History.
Oh,
Dan
it's
Carlin.
awesome. Absolutely. My favorite that he did was on World War One.
Oh my
Did you
god!
listen to that one?
You damn right I
God, it
listened
was
to that.
like 6 or 8 hours long. but
That
it
got
was-
me through North Dakota in September of last year.
I'm pretty sure I listened to that on one of my Texas drives out to Texas and back. At some
Oh
point.
yeah, man.
Oh, so
That's
good.
so good. There's a lot of good podcasts out there.
Did you hear? It was one of the times Theo Vaughn was on Rogan recently,
Mm-hmm.
and he was telling a story about getting locked out of his apartment one night when he was on coke. He
I don't
had
think
done
I've
like
heard that.
I won't go deep into the story, but he was doing a bunch of coke by himself. He had like an 8-ball, and he was in his apartment. This was a few years ago before he got sober. But he said he was partying by himself. He said he had like 3 vests on. And
what kind of vest? Just like a suit jacket vest?
Yeah. I guess. He was hopped up on coke. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. He was at his apartment by himself, and he decided to make a smoothie. So he goes to the blender and starts making a smoothie. While he's got the blender going, he thinks he hears something outside. So he goes out of his apartment, accidentally locks himself out of the apartment with the blender still on inside at like 3 in the morning. He has to go wake up his landlord. And he's like, hey, man, I'm having a party, early Christmas party. And
oh, my God.
And Theo Von tells it was hilarious.
I'll tell you what. I've heard that cocaine will make you do some funny things.
I have never done it before, but it seems like I would love it. So I have purposefully never done it before.
You would love it. It's
I've taken Adderall many times in my life, and I'm a fan of that.
Whoa, boy! I remember the first time I took an Adderall.
Yeah.
I was like, "Is this what normal people feel like all the time?" And somebody goes, "No, nobody feels like this. This is why they make drugs."
Yeah, it was. It helped me get through a lot of engineering tests in college.
Wow,
for sure.
I believe it, man. I tell you what.
I was weird in college. I actually took it to study. Like a lot of people took it to party. I would get it from friends and only take it on the days where I had to study for like 7 hours.
I took it and I forgot to eat for 2 days.
That happens too.
Yeah. I mean, like, you just get stuff done. It's amazing.
It makes you really excited to organize things. But it's like anything else, you know.
Did I ever tell you about
it? I feel like if you do it in moderation, there's no problem with it whatsoever. But
did I ever tell you about the time I accidentally took 2 hits of speed?
2?
Yeah. Oh, my God. I was like 20 years old, and I was on this road trip from California. I was helping move a buddy back from California to Lincoln. And we had just, long story short, we drove through the whole way. I wrote a song about this, 2 at a time on my record about this. And we ended up, there's a lot of stories within this story, but for the sake of posterity, this story, what took place, it was like a truck stop at 4 in the morning just outside of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And we were buying Red Bull, and we were buying American Spirits. Yeah. And I was going to get some of those No-Dose truck driver pills that they take, you know? Yeah. And so I had a couple of them, and I went up to check out, and a guy, this greasy dude working at this truck stop attendant, he goes, you know, man, those things ain't good for you. I got these natural ones. That'll help. That'll set you up really right. Oh, no. And I said, well, he goes, where are y'all coming from? I said, we've been driving from San Francisco 6 o'clock yesterday morning, and we've been driving straight through. He goes, where are you going? And I said, Lincoln, Nebraska. And so that's still a haul a ways. And he goes, well, these will get you there. He goes, so it was me and a buddy, and so he gave me 2 of them. And he says, just take the one. And I took them both.
On purpose?
Well, yeah, because I thought it was like a no-dose thing. Yeah. Like I'm thinking it's just whatever, you know. It's like whenever it says like yeah, and whenever whenever it says like on Advil like take 2, I take 4 because I'm twice the size. I'm like if a 120-pound girl can take 2, I'm taking 4. Right.
No, I get that. I'm like that with like ibuprofen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not so much.
I didn't know that's what it was though. I didn't know until it's too late. I'm thinking this is no-dose. Yeah. Something like that. And I was wrong, man. And it was speed. And I swear to God, I was up for 3 days. Yeah. We got back finally at 11 in the morning the next day. We got back to Lincoln. And I went to try to sleep. And I couldn't sleep. And I was sweating. And I was sick. And, oh, my God, it was the worst
one time I took
experience ever.
I can't remember if I took 1 or 2. But those Yellow Jacket pills, the same kind of thing as a no-dose thing. And, some gas station speed stuff. And I remember stopping a few hours later to get gas, and I was like trying to pump the gas, and my hands were like shaking, and I couldn't hold still. I was nauseous. I was like, well, I'm not taking that shit again, and I haven't.
No, it's not. Terrible. I don't mess with that anymore. I drink way too much coffee. And I drink a lot of, like, I'm the kind of guy that I'll drink a cup of coffee and go to bed. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I love sugar-free Red Bull. Only 5 calories a can.
Ooh, I can't do it. I used to drink those all the time, and then one time we played a show in Lexington, Kentucky, at a bar, and when we left, we were driving back here. It's like 3.5 hours, and they sent us with a bucket of iced down Red Bulls and sugar-free Red Bulls.
Yeah.
So I drove the whole way, let the band guys go to sleep because they were probably hammered, and I wasn't. And so from Lexington to here, I drank like at least 3, if not more, of these sugar-free Red Bulls.
Well, that's your problem. Is
And
you're
I
not
was
just
like-
drinking one; you're drinking half
I
gallon.
was like, at that point, we were almost home, and I felt hungover, and I hadn't been drinking except for those Red Bulls. I was like nauseous. My head was hurting. I was dehydrated. It was
That's not good, man.
It was not good. Don't drink 3 Red Bulls, people.
It's just like when we were talking about like how like cocaine and Adderall.
Yeah.
If you do something like that at the time you do it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, why would you just not do this all the time? And then
Yeah.
the next day, you're like, oh, this is why you don't do that.
Yeah, it's good to
the
be able to
same
realize
thing.
that. A lot of people
Yeah.
A lot of
that's
people
true.
feel that and think, "Oh, this is why I needed to keep doing it."
See, I get
not-
so lucky
no.
because I've dipped my toes into so many pools of water.
Yeah.
And been like, well, that was neat, and I'm gonna
That kinda
dry
thing,
off
yeah.
now. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you on that
Like,
for sure.
Yeah, man. What can you do? That's I feel like I've always had this idea that like to write a certain song, you kind of got to earn it.
Yeah.
You got to earn those stories. And so
Stories,
I've
yeah,
done
man.
a lot of stuff just for the stories, and then like afterwards been like, that was really dumb.
Yeah.
Like that was not a good move.
I've got a handful of the dumb things that I've done that I've still not written the song about. I need to go back and do that sometime. Man, I really got to pee.
Go pee.
We should go. I'm going to go pee. Not right now.
How much time do we get to do this podcast? How long have we been talking for?
We'll probably wrap it up.
Let's
Just
wrap
felt
it
like
up.
an awkward pause for a moment.
I'm going to let you do this awkward pause, and we'll see for the listeners who cancels.
No, we better not. Don't do that. Don't cancel people.
You
I
don't
love
want you don't want dead air on a podcast.
No dead air. If you could go back to yourself at 17 years old and give advice to young Evan Bartels, what would you say? While I like this match.
Well, you know what I think I would do since we were talking about childers? I would say keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills.
There you go.
And the pills can be anything, man. It doesn't have to be pills.
Yeah, quote unquote pills. Yeah.
Stay off of the distractions. Just keep working hard and be nice to everybody you meet. That's what I've been trying to do. Seems to work. Got me
yeah.
to meet a buddy like you. So
Hell yeah. My brother from another mother.
thank you for having
Evan
me,
Bartels.
sir.
Thanks for coming, man.
Anytime.
I forgot you told a story about it and everything before.
Well, here's the Cliff Notes. It's a new song called Coyote. I just wrote it. It's about growing up in a small town and being angry because everybody around you's angry. And then you get to a point in your life where you figure out you gotta change that around. So,
Yeah.
Coyote. Two-lane highway calling me out of my hometown. Tires just humming and a singing that blacktop tune. Tired old blue tick sniffing the air like an old hound. Just looking for something that still feels good to do. For no good reason lately I've been raging, white-knuckled and cussing, Lord, acting up like a fool. I can't even blame it on my drinking, so I blame it on the things other people do. I'm just an old coyote out here howling at the moon.
God Almighty, you say you got something to say, son. Better figure out just who you're gonna say it to. Maybe you're up on a horse you ought to get down from, for everything you run away from catches up to you. Boy, you ain't been cheated and you ain't been lied to. Think your bad motherfucker got a cold hard attitude. 7 rounds loaded up in that old wheel gun. 1 shot for every sin you got left in you. You just an old coyote out here howling at the moon. You just an old coyote out here howling at the moon. Hey. Is this really the hill I'm fixing to die on? Hole I'm digging left me king of a pile of dirt. I always knew I'd have to fight my demons. Never knew how bad it was gonna hurt. Chain on my leg caught up in a damned old spring trap. Only option I got left is start to chew. I'm bound and determined I'll live to see my freedom. I'm beating, I'm bleeding, goddammit, I'm seeing this through. I'm just an old coyote out here howling at the moon. I'm just an old coyote out here howling at the moon. Just an old coyote out here howling at the moon.
Evan Bartels out here singing about being a coyote and howling at the moon. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, my friends. If this was your first episode, welcome. I'm glad you stopped in and to hang out with us for a little bit. I'm glad that you're still here, and I hope you come back or listen to some of the old episodes or listen to some of the newer episodes or do whatever makes you happy in this world. Go check out don'tstifleme.com/064 for show notes on this episode. If you've enjoyed this talk, please subscribe to whatever device it is that you're listening on. Go to the podcast thing and click the subscribe button. And also share with anyone that you think might enjoy it or might be interested in this. If you're an overachiever, you could even go to the Apple Podcast app and leave a rating and a review. That'd be cool, but whatever you want to do. If you're planning to buy something on Amazon anytime soon, then before you do so, I would love it if you would jump over to don'tstifleme.com, the podcast website, and then click the Amazon banner there on the homepage. That will then redirect you to Amazon, where you will pay the whatever price you would have paid anyway. But they'll send me a small commission on the back end for sending you there. So we both win. You could also go over to patreon.com/DSM podcast, where for as little as $1 or $3 or $5 a month, You can get behind the scenes access to some pictures and videos, and then up to MP3 downloads and all kinds of other stuff that's over there on the Patreon page, which once again is patreon.com/DSM podcast. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, the podcast social medias are all at DSM podcast. My personal accounts are all at Jacob Stiefel, and I run it all. And that concludes the fun for this episode. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon.